In this episode of The Peaks Life, we talk to Nagina Abdullah, who's got some amazing weight loss tips for everyone, but especially busy professionals. Nagina had personally struggled with losing weight her whole life, and once she'd had 2 kids and was working in an incredibly demanding career for a top consulting firm in New York, she thought it was never going to be possible. After all, who can lose weight when they're jumping on planes, travelling, working 12-hour days, staying in hotels and having no set routine? But Nagina just wasn't prepared to accept the way she looked and the way she felt. She wanted to look sexy again for her husband, fit into her favourite clothes, and be able to do fun things with the kids like go for a hike or go to the park. So Nagina made a decision to change, and through significant research, she found ways to make small changes that eventually led to significant weight loss of around 40 pounds or 18 kilos. The great thing is the weight stayed off without counting any calories, measuring portion sizes, or feeling like she was deprived. Since then, Nagina has also changed her life, and she specialises in helping busy women lose weight so they can again fit into a bikini, wear their favourite skinny jeans and feel great about how they look. You can read more about Nagina's story and her weight loss methods at her website marsalabody.com. So hi everyone, and welcome back to The Peaks Life. I'm Lynn Fernie, joined again by Mike Warren, and today we've got a very special guest with us, and we are joined by Nagina Abdullah. Welcome to The Peaks Life. Tell us a bit about what you're doing right now.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So what I'm doing right now, I am working on, so what I do is I help busy, ambitious women lose weight by eating foods that taste delicious without counting calories, without feeling starving. And so right now I am helping to share my message to all of the professional and busy women in the world, just to share that all the different strategies that are possible, because it is completely possible to work long hours, to be solving really huge problems, but also to be taking care of yourself at the same time. And as a result, you start to thrive more in your career. You are able to just feel more energy throughout the day. You're more productive. You're living in your dream body while working at your dream job. It's completely possible, or having your own business. So I help other busy professionals really embody taking care of themselves so that they can thrive in all areas of their life.
Oh, that's awesome. And there's so many questions that we've got for you, Nagina. I just want to kind of write down every word that you said and ask a question. But before we do that, I'd love to find out a bit more about your journey and what got you to this point. Because we know that with a lot of people who work in the wellness space, there's been maybe a defining moment in their life, or there was a point at which they had a mindset shift. So was that the case with you? Have you always been, a wellness coach and somebody who's inspired others?
Well, actually, I've been somebody that I struggled with my weight for my entire life. I struggled with what I was eating. I knew the calories of every single morsel of food. I knew what was in it. I knew the serving sizes. I followed all the rules, and no matter what I did, I never was able to feel really comfortable in my body, and I was never able to just be like completely confident. And so it was just something that was on my mind every single day. Like, I was the kind of person, if I didn't get to the gym for 1 week, I would put on like 3 pounds. And I really like to eat, delicious foods, but I would still try to be healthy, but I could never really, it would never come off, not with the rules that I would listen to in the weight loss industry that would tell you to eat tiny portions of processed foods. I would feel so starving that I would just go binge on pizza right after that. And so it never really worked for me. And I always had a decent amount of extra weight on me. And then I moved to New York, and I started working in my dream job. I was a management consultant for a top 4 firm, and I was traveling, jumping on planes and trains, living this busy lifestyle. And as a result, I was eating, at some of the best restaurants in the cities I would be at. And I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to give that up. I wouldn't want to say like, oh, I'll have a salad, you know, when I'm at the best Italian restaurant in the city. And so I had to start learning strategies on how to actually continue to feel good in those places. And I started developing those. But then I had my first child, and then I had my second child, and with that comes extra weight. So I actually, after that lifestyle and then also having 2 kids, I was at my maximum weight. And when I would think about going back to work, I would just think about all the clothes in my closet and how none of them fit me at all. And it was really frustrating because I thought, I'm going to have to buy a whole new wardrobe, and I'm not ready. I don't want to do that. And I also don't want to wear maternity clothes for this long. Like, I need to change this. Mm-hmm. But since I tried everything in my past life before that, I knew that I needed to do something different. And that's when I started reading all of this like cutting edge nutritional information, science journals. And I started realizing the way to eat wasn't about eating less of the food that the world is putting in front of us. It was more about eating more food that's real and that's low sugar and that's not processed, and not feeling hungry because you're able to just indulge yourself in delicious foods from our earth instead of things that are out of a package or a can just because of ease. And so really combining that principle, I combined that principle with low sugar, like I talked about a little bit, along with adding more spices and flavors to my food, which gave it a boost. It gave it extra, it increases your metabolism more, and it lowers your blood sugar. So it gives you an extra boost for weight loss. And it also just makes your healthy food taste really good to the point that you just love eating what you're eating. And so that's how I got to what happened is I started eating like that, and I lost 40 pounds in 9 months by doing this.
Oh, congratulations.
So that was a complete change. Like I had 20 pounds to get to pre-pregnancy. I got that off, and then I just kept eating like it because it felt so good and it was so simple. And I lost 20 more pounds, and I got to lower than I had been in my 20s, not in an unhealthy way, in a very healthy way, because I was also exercising and adding muscle tone to my body. And so it was a toned way of getting to, losing 40 pounds. And so after that, I started my blog, and I started coaching other ambitious women about how they can lose weight in such a busy lifestyle, because I had already done it. And if I could do it, I felt like anyone could do it. And so that's what I do now.
That's very cool. And, I'm going to dive into a few things, because I think the experience that you had as a management consultant is so typical of not just women, but people in that executive space where they're very busy. Food is available. It's available either at the office, at the various different social events, or like yourself, traveling, and being privileged to be able to go to some of these amazing restaurants where, often there are set meals or there's been something prepared by the chef. And so you're faced with all this fabulous food that may just not be the best food for your body. So that's where I want to start. If we've got a busy person, a busy professional leading that sort of life, what are the best strategies to deal with the fact that you're eating away from home most of the time and you're not really in control of your food?
Oh, absolutely. And this is really huge, because when you're on the road or you're at a client dinner or you're with your team, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of dynamics happening. There's also the social aspect of, what do you want to order when you don't want to seem like this picky person, and things like that. And so the strategy I have, this is the first thing to think of, and this is just kind of a saying that I have, and that's energy first. And so you always want to think about your energy. And so a lot of times when you're eating certain foods, like once you start to become aware that food has a direct impact on how you feel, then you'll start to see these relationships, and you'll start to see what's happening. So there's certain foods that you will actually feel more energetic afterwards. And during the meal, you'll have more to say, you'll have more to add, because you're not going to feel tired and heavy from the food that's going in your body. And so really, when you start to really be very focused on your energy and thinking energy first, then you make decisions for energy, and you're not thinking about decisions for weight, which you always in your mind, it's very easy to say, okay, well, it's okay tonight, tomorrow I'll make up for it, tomorrow I'll be okay. So it's like you're always balancing, and you're always kind of trying to like be either good or you're either on the wagon or off the wagon. You don't have to do that, because you're thinking about your energy and you just want to feel good. So it's just really a mindset of energy first. That's one of the things. The other thing is I actually have a practical tip, because when you are at a restaurant, you do want to indulge a little bit. There are things that you might, especially if it's a special restaurant, and if you're going out every single night, at some point you have to be like, no, I'm not going to indulge. Like, I'm going to make the decision not to. But if it's like maybe, once or twice a week, then you may think, oh, I just want to like have this. So the first thing is, I'm going to give you a mindset and then also a very practical tip. But really the mindset is like, food does not have to be your source of fun. Like, that doesn't have to be how you give yourself pleasure. So when you're going to dinner, like, the pleasure could be in the conversation. The pleasure could be in the environment and that you're out and about. And yes, you're eating and it tastes nice, but that's not the main event. And so when you take that focus off of just eating, then you're getting your pleasure from so many other things, because we're combining our pleasure sometimes with food. And that doesn't have to be the only activity that we do for pleasure. Right. So then just pairing that with a practical tip is, if you do want to kind of not be like super healthy, or you just want to feel good, but maybe just like balance it out a little bit, you could do what I call the appetizer hack. And so the appetizer hack is where you order an appetizer that's not really that healthy. So it could be it could be something that's slightly like fried calamari, and you share that with the table, or it could be, something that is just not like completely really the best thing, but you're ordering it and it's an appetizer and it's in a smaller quantity. And so you're kind of getting your cravings out, but then you order a healthier big meal. So you still order, like, say, grilled meat and greens, or you order a big salad with lots of vegetables and lots of protein on it, that fills you up. So then you feel good, because you feel like you had a little bit of that guiltiness. You don't have to feel so guilty about it. You're really balancing things out. And so this is really a big approach of mine, where I don't think you have to go all or nothing. A lot of times we feel that, okay, we have to be perfect. And then if at 2 p.m. you go to get your coffee, and then you also get a little, you decide to get a little brownie, or you decide to get a little cupcake, then you feel like, oh, well, forget it. I totally messed up. I might as well, order pizza tonight, and I might as well, you just keep going downhill. Well, it doesn't have to be all or nothing at all. It can just be a little bit more flexible, and okay, you give a little bit, but then you're making an overall good decision. So, right. Yeah. So those are a couple things. I could keep sharing a few others. I think I can share something about a social aspect, but let me just pause and so those are a few things that can be really helpful.
And I love the concept of compartmentalizing each meal. So if I do something in this particular meal that blows my diet, and I feel like I've had a special treat, that doesn't affect the next meal. It's not the whole day's wiped out. I think that's difficult for a lot of people, not to just say, I've blown it, I'll start again fresh tomorrow, and think it's one meal at a time.
Yeah. And also we see a lot of people, and I don't know if you have the same experience, Nagina, that they say, oh, I've fallen off the wagon. But that then becomes this big excuse. Well, I've fallen off the wagon, so I might as well have that donut, or I might as well have that cookie, and I'll just keep going for the rest of the day. And then the meal becomes a day, and the day becomes a week, and the week becomes a month. And before you know it, people have just gone down into that, vicious cycle again. And then it's a really big deal to get out of it. So we talk a lot with people around, don't let that happen. Sure, you enjoyed yourself. Don't think about it as falling off the wagon. You just indulged and you enjoyed it. And now it's time to just keep going, because it's a long journey and this is a lifestyle, and it is for life. It's not just for a couple of weeks, right?
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. That's so true. It's a lifestyle. It's like every time you're taking a step, you're going more into that direction, but you don't have to be perfect. And in the world that we live in, it's really, really challenging. We're not living in this like super, like where everything is just like all greens all around us, with no bad substances. No, we have to fight our way to be healthy, actually. So it's okay if you're not perfect all the time.
Exactly. Yep. Right. And I was curious. I'd like to dig into your suggestion around put energy first. I think that's a really cool mindset. Think about what energizes you and what really makes you fatigued or you don't feel so good. That takes time to get to know, right? So do you have a process that you get people to work through whereby they can identify the foods that make them feel good and those that don't make them feel so good?
Yes. So that's so true. I mean, it's really hard that many of us do not realize that relationship of how food is making you feel. And so when in the way that I work with women and busy professionals is that I give you the foods to eat and I give you foods to not eat because I already have a good idea of what's going to make you feel good and what's going to make you not feel good. And so you start to just trust that I know that. You start to follow that. And then I always work in what I call this isn't necessarily politically correct for everyone, but I call it a cheat day, where you have a cheat day once a week and you really have indulgences. You really fulfill all your indulgences. And part of it is really psychological, because if you have that cheat day, you feel like, okay, it's not like you're never going to have a cookie or a cupcake or a donut or whatever you may be craving. It's just that you're going to do it once a week. And so it's psychological that you're still having balance. And then also it's great for your metabolism, because when you're eating really healthy and then you do one day, it's kind of like in a way carb cycling, because you're just like injecting yourself with your body and you're just rushing, giving yourself this rush. So it can help to speed up metabolism. And so really being able to have this cheat day and have that balance makes it just more doable for the long term, and it makes it something that it's really not as challenging to do it, because you know that you have this kind of like outlet that's happening. But once you have that cheat day, if you eat a lot of those foods after you've been eating the foods that I shared, you're gonna feel your energy be zapped from you.
Yes.
And so you see it when you take it out and then you put it back in and then you realize what happens. And so what often happens to my clients is their first cheat day, I do tell them, like, don't overeat but try, because that seems to be the thing, the dangerous part of it. But so if they do end up eating, several things, it's very clear they feel exhausted, like their body is drained. So a lot of it is actually a result of taking out sugar from your diet. And so that's what happens is, like, a lot of the foods that we eat, it doesn't even have to be actually obvious sweets, but a lot of foods that we eat, they break down, they're simple carbohydrates and they break down to sugars. And so when you're eating sugar, even if it's in the form of a simple carb that breaks down, like for example, some breads, rice, certain other kinds of foods that really break down, then you can, you're gonna feel like that's sugar. And when you have some sugar, you start craving more sugar. And so when you start eating foods that don't have that sugar in it, like even when they break down, then your body becomes cleansed of its sugar cravings. It's very, very true. Like, you can actually stop the sugar cravings from even starting. And when that happens, you're free. Like, you feel free because you can just have more control over the food you're eating. And then you can start to feel really energetic and just start thriving all the time. And so that's really how I help, is I take it out and then on that cheat day, they put it back in, they see what's happening, they feel it, and then they want to keep it out and they don't even have the cravings for it. But they do still have a little bit every cheat day. I mean, you have a little bit, but you're able to kind of know what you can take without having that energy drop.
And, I think there's a few things in there, there's lots of things in there that are valuable and make such sense. I really truly believe that when you take away the sugar, the refined carbohydrates and those things, that you do break that craving cycle. And it's incredibly empowering and it's liberating, because you're no longer tied to food. You don't have to eat. You don't think about food all day. So when you're in that carb cycle and you're having sugar, you're just constantly thinking about food. You can't wait for your next snack or your next meal, and you often overindulge. But once you can break those cravings, you can just liberate yourself from all of that. So if you were talking to, one of these busy professionals, or an executive female, and she said, I've got these carb cravings, they're just so debilitating. I'm getting closer to menopause, which, my hormones are going crazy. What would you say? What would you say to kill those carvings dead? What would be the top tip?
Yes. So a huge reason if you have carb cravings is that you are not eating enough protein in your diet. Like, you're actually craving protein, but it's coming out in the form of like sugar or carbs. But if you are eating the right amount of protein, your cravings, they just completely come down. And so the news is maybe something different than she would think, is that you're not eating enough. You actually need to eat more, but you need to eat more of the right foods for your body. Because if you keep eating carbs, your body keeps craving carbs, because I already talked about the sugar, and it's basically breaking down to sugar and your body's craving more sugar. And so when you are adding more protein, protein keeps you full for longer, because it takes a longer time to digest. And it also helps just replenish your body. And when you have the right amount of protein in your body, that's really when you're ready to jumpstart losing weight. Like, that's when weight, especially for women, really start to come off, because many women don't have enough protein. And so that's really a key area. So some examples of protein, I mean, there are things like in the morning, obviously eggs, Greek yogurt is good because it's high protein, low sugar. A protein shake is another option. Those are a few different things that are really good for protein in the morning. And then just in general throughout the day, it's like chicken, fish, tofu, beans and lentils if you're a vegetarian or a vegan is a good source. But really prioritizing having protein in every meal. And I recommend having between 20 and 30 grams of protein at every meal, plus even a snack. And when I work with people, then I start to actually see more exactly how much, but that's a good gauge to start with. And so that will help them go away. That will help the cravings go away from the physical side. And then there could be some emotional things or some like kind of comfort reasons. There could be some things around there. So that would take some conversations and thinking about why you're craving those foods. Like, when is it happening, and putting those things together.
Interesting on the point of prioritizing. One of the challenges that we have working with professionals and executives, if they come to you and ask for help, that's great, because they've already recognized there's a problem and they need help. How do you deal with the group of executives in that sort of 40 to 60 who don't recognize they need help, and they don't prioritize their wellness or their health, their diet, as much as they do their work and career goals? How do you get them to have that mind shift and prioritize what they're putting in their mouth as important to what they're doing at work?
So if somebody is not prioritizing it, I really can't help them prioritize it, because they have to be ready to prioritize it. And so a lot of people, if they come to work with someone that they're ready, then they're ready. And if they're not ready, then I can't get them ready, because there's so many people that are ready also. So really, it's a lot of times the triggers, like something usually will trigger that person and will get them interested in doing it. And so a lot of times, at that age, it could be their doctor telling them, like, this is serious. You need to lose like 20 pounds or 40 pounds, and you need to lower your cholesterol, your blood pressure, all those things. And if you lose weight, it's going to help that happen a lot easier. And so that's a big trigger. The other thing that happens is, especially for men, they start to really realize that they want to live longer, and that becomes something that that just like really gets them on board with wanting to be healthy. And so, for women also feel that, but men, it's just like they'll just follow potentially if a man might be following unhealthy patterns, and then all of a sudden he'll have that and he'll just switch. It's a really big driver. And so for women, of course, it's overall health, overall, also wanting to live longer, but also women have more often been thinking about it for a while as well, just because of just because that's in our culture. There's the physical aspect that is just part of, that makes it like different for genders, that there's like certain needs to want to lose it faster or at younger ages. And so it's good to know why someone wants to lose weight, and then when they're ready, then they start, and then there's lots of ways that they can go about doing it. But sometimes this one of these triggers has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's so true, that you see a lot of people where there's a life event, a close friend perhaps dies or gets sick. They have a health scare themselves, and all of a sudden that's the big trigger. And I think you're right that it happens a lot for men, where they see something like that or they experience something and then they switch overnight. Whereas I think as women, our bodies are changing, and as we get older and we start to get into that sort of 40 plus age group, and we're getting closer and closer to 50 and or menopause, then the changes also trigger us to make changes. So there's almost like a natural mechanism for women that makes it more of a priority, because there are health challenges that just evolve, that we've got to deal with, that men don't really have in quite the same way.
So true.
So Nagina, I just want to ask about your own wellness and your balance, your work-life balance, your focus areas, because you're a busy professional. You are now focused on helping other people, which means that you have that responsibility. You have the clients that you work with. You're doing all your work on podcasts and video episodes and those sort of things. You must be incredibly busy. You're talking to us in the evening. How do you keep yourself well and make sure that you're doing your own self-care as well as helping other people?
Oh, yes. Well, so my strategy for self-care in a very busy life is to systemize it. And what that means is to really not like to set it on just autopilot. Like I've set up a system now where I know exactly what I'm eating every single day. I know that my groceries are coming in when I need them to come in. I also have my fitness appointments set up in a way that I'm not going to miss them. And I'm also not relying on my willpower for any of these things. And I think that's really, really important, because we so often have the tendency, so often the way that we lose weight or get healthier or just really focus on our wellness is by really saying, okay, I have to make myself wake up really early. Okay, I have to make this dish, and I have to eat healthy every single day. And like, you just have all these details. There's a lot to it. But when you can actually create something that you're not really thinking about it every day, then all of your energy is spent on getting better in your business, growing your business, being more successful, meeting more people. You're not thinking about like your body and your fitness and your wellness, because it's just happening. And so to give a little bit more specifics around that, like the way that works for me is that I have I do online grocery shopping every 2 weeks, because I used to do it every week, but now I'm very sure and confident about what I'm eating. And so I just get my order in for 2 weeks. And so it gets delivered to my place. I freeze some of my things. I freeze fish, I freeze some meat. I have frozen vegetables so that they last. And I pretty much eat similar breakfasts and lunches, and then I vary my dinners. And so it's very straightforward. Like, and I'll make my my lunches a lot of times, like on Monday, I'll just make it and it will last for 4 days. So I don't even have to think about it at lunch. So it's like a combination of grocery shopping and planning ahead, simplifying, meaning not feeling like you have to eat different meals every single day and have tons of variety, but having some variety where you need it. And it's easier to be consistent when you can be similar like that. And then planning ahead, like batch cooking in some situations. So doing that. And then the other piece I want to share is, like, for me, it's very important that I have a personal trainer, because that's the only way that I can wake up at 5 a.m. when I need to wake up, because my kids are sleeping, and my husband's here, but it's the only time I can get away without all the emails that I'm going to have to work with throughout the day. I'm sure to get my workout in, but it could be snowing outside. Like, it could be raining. I still get up because I have a personal trainer that I paid to meet. And I also don't want to leave him, just like standing there when he's supposed to be coaching me. And so these are systematic things to set up that everyone can do in their own life, where I don't even rely on my willpower in that example to get up at 5 a.m. I just get up because I know that I don't want to leave my personal trainer there. I want to be able to fulfill my promise. And that works for me. But everyone has these motivational things that work for them, but also just the systemization of food and eating similar foods, getting your groceries in, knowing what you're eating ahead of time. That literally skyrockets energy. It completely accelerates like focus and memory and thought. And then it also helps you just live in the body that you want to live in, because you're physically at the place without even thinking about it that much.
I think two really cool tips are, that you just shared there around the systemization and then the way to prioritize things that are difficult. Because if we think about it, when we're in the workplace, most of us are highly systemized. We have processes that make our day more efficient and productive. So why wouldn't you use the same type of system and process for your food, for your wellness? And then the same with, booking a personal trainer. If exercise is not really your thing, and you've got to work at it, making it a priority, putting it at the first thing in the day, and having somebody keeping you accountable is exactly what you would do in the workplace with your most difficult tasks. Having things like goals and plans, and it keeps you accountable in the workplace. So again, translating that into, the home life, I think is what a lot of people don't do, but it's one of those real steps to success. I think that they're two very, very cool strategies for making sure that things go smoothly in the wellness journey. So yeah, very, very cool. So I'm kind of going to lead on from that, because I'm quite curious. A lot of people in the wellness space and very successful people in business have a structured approach to their day. So they have a morning routine and they have an evening routine. And just listening to your focus on systems and processes, we're guessing that, you've got some pretty structured routines. Would you be happy to share those with us, Nagina?
Yeah. So there are some things that I do in my day, in my morning, especially, and in my evening. So I'll talk about that. Okay. So in the morning, now, some of the things I do, some days I go to the gym and some days I don't. And so either way, I always start my morning after the gym off with a cup of coffee with cinnamon in it. And so cinnamon, what that does is it lowers your blood sugar, and it also curbs some of your sweet cravings because it's sweet itself. And so I always sprinkle that cinnamon in, and it feels indulgent. And so I'm getting that sweetness without the sugar, but I'm lowering my blood sugar. So I love doing that. And then I'll have a glass of what I call spa water. And the reason it's called spa water is it's infused water that I have with, it has cucumber and mint in it. And so cucumber is really great it decreases water retention because there is so much water in it. And so you're flushing your body out more. And then mint, it also has some properties that it helps you decrease overeating. And so these are kind of all benefits, and it just tastes really amazing. So it's just water that I just took a jug of water, filtered water, and then I put some mint and then I put some mint and then some cucumber in it, and it just tastes so good. You could also put like limes or lemon. So I have that in my morning. And then I usually start my day off with eggs. And I usually have 2 eggs and 2 egg whites because it's a little bit of extra protein. And I also add turmeric into that because turmeric actually is anti-inflammatory. And so and it's also yellow. So it really it combines with the eggs and you don't even really know it's there, but you're getting all these anti-inflammatory benefits. So I really start my morning off with using these natural spices that give a boost to my day. And it also makes me feel indulgent while giving me these extra weight loss boosts. And so it's like a fun way to integrate healthy pieces into my day. And it makes me want to eat healthy because I'm treating myself so well with them.
Yeah. Cool. Very, very cool. And then when you're winding down on an evening, do you have a similar sort of set of steps or things that you do or that you eat that again help you in that, run up to bedtime and setting you up for the weight loss that happens, the magic that happens overnight?
Yes. So I can tell you that my main routine at night is just to go to sleep on time. Like I just have to make sure I get to sleep because it's really, really a very big priority that I get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep a night. And I track it. I have my Fitbit that I use, so I track what I'm doing, and I notice, I know how much I need to feel rested. And now getting older now, I feel like if I don't have sleep, it is it's a non-negotiable. I will feel miserable the entire day, and I don't want the day to have to be so hard. And so I just completely need my sleep. So it's really timing, like when I need to get up the next morning and making sure that I just get to bed 30 minutes before that. Now, I don't have really any issues with my sleep. I don't really need too much to go to sleep. So in that way, I'm thankful, but I do have to make sure that I get to sleep because with kids and with work and with all these kinds of things, you can easily say that you want to keep working. Mm-hmm. And so what I found actually when I was starting my business is that I would stay up really late till midnight or 1 o'clock every day and then just be scrambling to get up in the morning. But I actually looked at my hours between 10 and 12 or 10 and 1, and it was really low productive time. I wasn't doing anything that was really moving the needle. And so I changed those hours and started going to sleep at 10 and then started waking up 2 to 3 hours earlier. And that time was golden. I was able to get so much done in those morning hours. And that really helped me just move my business forward so much faster. And it's also for getting healthier and it's just when you get enough sleep, you have less sugar cravings and you can control your diet so much more. So it's really just getting to sleep. But I can give you one really fun tip to do at night. And I did do this for some time, is to have a cup of turmeric tea. Because turmeric is anti-inflammatory and it really relaxes your entire body. You get into such a peaceful state. And this is without alcohol, without anything. And it's a turmeric tea, meaning it's really just turmeric, ginger, and water. And so it really helps you relax. I have that recipe on the front page of my website, but it's a really great way to relax at night, especially if you need to kind of wind down.
That's very cool. And just, you just mentioned your website. Do you want to just do a couple of minutes on your website and what people can find on there?
Yes, absolutely. Well, my website that I definitely invite you to come to is masalabody.com. And that is, so actually I have a special gift right on my front page. And this is 7 spicy recipes to lose your first 7 pounds. And it's 7 dinner recipes that are really easy to make. They use a blend of natural spices and they're not necessarily spicy, but they have all the metabolism boost and the anti-inflammatory benefits that we've been talking about. So there's that recipe book. And then once you grab that, then I'll be in touch with you with more recipes and more tips and mindsets. And then I'm also on Instagram at Masala Body, where I post regular stories and posts, and it's just more kind of inspirations on getting healthier.
Very cool. So if you're tuning in, the details will be below.
Down there somewhere.
Jump on there, grab that recipe book, and just let us know. Put it in the comments if you tried Nagina's recipes. Tell us what you thought of them, if they are now in your regular recipe list.
So on behalf of the Peace Life, Nagina, thank you so much for sharing so many insights, so many tips, and so many great hacks, and some wonderful sort of insights in the way, not just that you include those amazing foods, but the mindset of rethinking the way you approach food and understand food. So thank you so much for sharing your time today and being part of the Peace Life. We look forward to staying in contact with you and having you back again eventually to share some more tips with us.
Absolutely. Nagina, thanks again. It was very exciting talking to you, and lots of valuable information for everybody tuning in.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so wonderful talking with you.